Hello guys and gals and welcome to another review. Today we are looking at Moss Destruction, an isometric roguelite twin stick shooter by Shotgun with Glitters. Now before I start the review, I will say that I am giving away another copy of this game. Just check out the description for how to enter. So when you first start Moss Destruction, you're only going to have one character to choose, but the other two are really easy to unlock. Every single level has a portal to a store, and when you go in there, there's a chance that one of the characters will be available for purchase. Now the currency is all found in game, you don't have to buy this currency, it's just gained through playthroughs. The game contains quite a lot of different weapons, and they are spread across 4 different types, consisting of bullet, energy, explosive, and heat. You only get to carry 2 weapons at a time, so you will need to pick and choose which weapons are best for your current situation. If you're surrounded by lots of enemies, you're probably going to want something explosive. If you're being rushed by smaller enemies, you might want something more precise, like an assault rifle. Unfortunately, so far I've only found about 5 different weapons, but they are really fun to experiment with. That said, I think that one of the game's stronger points is experimentation. One of the cool features is called alien tech. Now every time that you kill an enemy, they have a chance to drop one of these items, and when you use it for the first time in a run, its effect is random. It's either going to be something good or something bad, but every time each colour is going to be assigned something different. So a red in one run might be speed up, but a red in another run might be something that blinds you. And the game uses risk-reward really well. Another thing that uses this is the sundown mechanic. Now when you spend a certain amount of time in a level, the sun will go down. After this happens, you're going to get flooded by much larger waves of enemies. There is a limit on how many will spawn, but you are always going to get overwhelmed by them. The thing is, if you decide to stay and kill them, you have a much higher chance at better loot. But loot isn't the only thing on the table here. Every time that you enter a level, you can increase your mech's rank by 2. Now the default amount of mobs in each level isn't enough to gain your ranks, so by staying behind to kill more enemies, you will rank your mech up. When you end a level, you are given a choice of passive abilities to select, and you can choose as many as the amount of ranks that you have gone up. So each level you have the chance to gain 2 additional passive perks, if you stay after sundown. So while I was playing, I found myself deliberately staying behind after sundown to make sure that I got 2 ranks per level. During the early game, this is really easy to do because the enemies are quite simplistic and easy to kill. However, in the later levels, this becomes much more difficult, so it really pays off to stay behind and take that extra risk early while you've got a weaker mech. And these perks once again lead back to the shop that you can find in each stage. One of the things that you can purchase from this shop are new perks that you can find on your future runs. Now you don't only have to get these perks through finishing levels and ranking up your mech. Before you begin a game, you can install cartridges to your character. You can have active cartridges that you use and then they will do a specific effect, and you can install passive cartridges that will be active all the time but you have no control over yourself. Again, these are unlocked through the in-game store. They take quite a lot of crystal to unlock, so you are going to need to play the game quite a bit before you start to get some of these cool perks. However, I don't feel that this is an issue. The game has got a really nice difficulty curve, which keeps things challenging. Every time I die in a run, I click that revenge button and I go for another try. But that's one of the things that I like about roguelite games. Each time you play, you are passively making your character stronger because you're unlocking more options for future playthroughs. Now I know that that's not everybody's cup of tea, but for me I find it really satisfying to have to keep trying, but each time feeling stronger than the last until I finally overcome that obstacle. And in Moss Destruction, I don't mind going through these levels over and over again. And I think that this is helped by the game's aesthetic. They're using a low poly art style with lots of hand-drawn assets. It looks kind of gritty, and I like that. The game has a clear art direction and a clear style, and they've gone for it, and I think it really works. One thing that I would change about the game though is the characters. Each of the characters can be seen on the character select screen, but once you've chosen them, they're just assigned a mech. Now the mechs are all different, but they look far too similar to really be noticeable. But I guess you can kind of neglect that once the game gets a little bit more intense. Particles are flying everywhere, you're shooting loads of bullets, there are aliens exploding all the place. Who cares what the mech looks like, right? As it's a twin stick shooter, most of the time you're not even looking at your own character, you're looking at where you're about to fire at. Or at least you would be. The crosshair is just, it's a little bit too big. Sometimes it really covers up those smaller enemies. And there seems to be a problem with the aim being offset a little bit. So sometimes you can hold the cursor steady and your bullets won't go exactly where it is that you're aiming. And I think this is caused by the camera drag. So when you move around, your camera delays a little bit, and I don't think that they've compensated for the fact that the camera gets left behind and your cursor isn't actually where it should be in comparison to where your character is shooting. So ironically, in a game where you have to constantly keep moving, I find that my aim is more accurate if the character is standing still. However, this is really only a problem when I'm using one of the more precise weapons like the assault rifle. If I'm using something like a rocket launcher that has splash damage, it doesn't matter if I miss a little bit, I'm still going to kill all those aliens. So overall, it is a really solid game with a decent amount of content. It has just left early access, and there are a couple of little bugs that are still in there, but the devs are actively working on getting rid of all of them. The devs are also working on getting more content. Right now, the game is only single player, but one of the things that they really want to add soon is a couch co-op mode. So I'd say that Moss Destruction is definitely a game that's worth checking out. As the devs are going to add more content in the future, the game's only going to get better. As usual, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.